The backstory on Jesus. Where did Jesus originally come from? According to the Gospels, Jesus was a Jewish man born in Bethlehem and raised in the town of Nazareth, in Galilee, formerly Palestine, now northern Israel, during the 1st century. What is the true origin of the name Jesus? Jesus, dis, is a masculine given name derived from Jesus, Iesus in classical Latin, the ancient Greek form of the Hebrew name Yeshua. As its roots lie in the name Esho in Aramaic and Yeshua in Hebrew, it is etymologically related to another biblical name, Joshua. Did Jesus ever live in Egypt? Both of the Gospels which describe the nativity of Jesus agree that he was born in Bethlehem and then later moved with his family to live in Nazareth. The Gospel of Matthew describes how Joseph, Mary, and Jesus went to Egypt to escape from Herod the Great's slaughter of the baby boys in Bethlehem. Let us back up a bit in this story and talk about the three kings. What are the names of the three wise men? Three wise men, or Magi as they were known, whose names were Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar, traveled a far distance to pay homage to Christ. They brought with them fine gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. According to Western Church tradition, Balthazar is often represented as a king of Arabia or sometimes Ethiopia, Melchior as a king of Persia, and Gaspar as a king of India. Did the Magi come from Babylon? The caste of the Magi may be traced back in scriptures to Babylon during and after the exile. In Babylon they were first known as the wise men. This included magicians, enchanters, sorcerers and astrologers. Daniel chapter 2 verse 2. Why did God send the Magi? As Gentiles who acknowledged Christ's divinity, the Magi claim an essential role in the Epiphany, the manifestation of God to the world. God is not partial and the three kings of the Gentile nations recognized Jesus as king. The Talmud depicts the Magi as sorcerers that are obstructing Jewish religious practices. JW.org claims to be Christian but holds on to the Jewish traditions about the Magi. Did the Magi worship Jesus? They continued on to Bethlehem, where they worshipped Jesus and offered him gifts. Warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. Matthew chapter 2 verse 12. One tradition suggests that Joseph and Mary used the gold to finance their travels when they fled Bethlehem and their stay in Egypt for a few years after an angel had warned, in a dream, about King Herod's plan to kill Jesus. How old was the Virgin Mary when she was pregnant with Jesus? Mary, she gave birth to Jesus. But because there was no place for them in the inn, she used a manger as a cradle. From the age at which Jewish maidens became marriageable, it is possible that Mary gave birth to her son when she was about 13 or 14 years of age. As Egypt was a part of the Roman Empire, it was easy for Joseph and Mary to travel there. However, Egypt was outside of Herod's rule, so Jesus would be safe from Herod's death squad. At the time, Egypt was an imperial province ruled by the Roman emperor himself, Augustus. The Gospel of Mary is an early Christian text deemed unorthodox by the men who shaped the nascent Catholic Church, was excluded from the canon, and was subsequently erased from the history of Christianity along with most narratives that demonstrated women's contributions to the early Christian movement. We will cover more on this topic in a future video. How far of a walk is it from Bethlehem to Egypt? We presume he woke Mary with the baby, loaded his donkey and set out in the darkness toward Egypt. The shortest distance then from Bethlehem to the Egyptian border was about 65 kilometers or about 40 miles. Averaging 3.1 miles per hour, Joseph and family would have crossed the border into Egypt after a 12-hour walk, or hike. How long was the trip from Nazareth to Egypt? The flight of the Holy Family to Egypt, seeking refuge, is an event related to us very briefly in the Gospel of St. Matthew. Joseph complied. It might have taken the fugitives 3 days to reach Egypt, where they were beyond Herod's jurisdiction. Is myrrh more valuable than gold? The sacred trees that produce frankincense and myrrh are almost impossible to grow outside of the Arabian Peninsula, which meant they were constantly in short supply and high demand. According to a famous Roman historian, the sap made the Arabians the richest people on earth by Jesus' time, more valuable than gold. I was a Jehovah's Witness for most of my life, and the Magi and star were viewed as demonic. My investigation from the Bible indicates that JW.org got this wrong. What's your thoughts? JW.org says, no angel of God announced the birth of Jesus to the astrologers. And, the so-called star, is not from God. JW.org does not teach the Bible. They teach that Satan is behind the star and the Magi of Jesus. The name, Mizraim, is the original name given for Egypt in the Hebrew Old Testament. Many Bibles will have a footnote next to the name, Mizraim, explaining that it means Egypt. What does the Bible say about Jesus in Egypt? The flight into Egypt is a story recounted in the Gospel of Matthew, Matthew chapter 2 verses 13 to 23, and in New Testament Apocrypha. Soon after the visit by the Magi, an angel appeared to Joseph in a dream telling him to flee to Egypt with Mary and the infant Jesus, since King Herod would seek the child to kill him. In a future video we will take a look at Jesus and the ancient Egyptian god Horus. Matarea was the part of Egypt Jesus was in. Ancient legends relate that Jesus' early family remained absent 2 years from Palestine, and lived at Matarea, a few miles northeast of Cairo, where a fountain and a sycamore tree under which they had rested emerged upon Jesus' request. Where was Jesus hidden in Egypt? This church is known as the Cavern Church and also as Abu Sirga. This church is built over a cave where Joseph, Mary, and the baby Jesus stayed for 3 months after fleeing to Egypt to escape persecution from King Herod of Judea. What happened with Jesus in the temple? Joseph headed back home and after a day of travel realized Jesus was missing, so they returned to Jerusalem, finding Jesus 3 days later. He was found in the temple in discussion with the elders, listening to them and asking them questions. They were amazed at his learning, especially given his young age of 12 years old. Where did Jesus go for 17 years? Ancient texts reveal that Jesus spent 17 years in the Orient. They say that from age 13 to age 29, Jesus traveled to India, Nepal, Ladakh and Tibet as both student and teacher. We send our love your way and look forward to seeing you on our next video. What did Jesus do when he returned to Galilee? This episode is produced by Shah Vern Production at Fixing My Faith. You can support the channel on our website, gonewiththegrid.ca, through PayPal, or you can join the channel on YouTube and buy us a coffee for just $2.99 per month. Thanks again. Also, big thanks for watching the commercials. YouTube pays us when our viewers watch those commercials, instead of skipping them. Bye for now and have a great day. Thanks for watching.